DNS Live. Tonight we are going to finish up our investigation series finally, so you guys can get kind of a break away from me chit-chatting all the time, right? I know you guys are getting bored. Kidding. You guys, this is a lot of really good information. Tonight we wrap it up with the client reveal. We've gone through a lot of stuff, so we're going to kind of step through that a little bit, review what we've already learned. For those of you that may never have watched our show, I know NPS was showing a lot of people that kind of were asking about the show and what we were going over. If you will go out on YouTube and search on PIN for us, you will find us out there, and you'll find our archived shows that contain everything from step 1, when we talked about training and starting the investigation, all the way through to tonight's show, which will appear later tonight. So you guys can go out there and watch them in date order and be able to kind of step through everything where we've reviewed how to actually handle an investigation. We have some new investigators that are joining NPS, people that have never investigated before, want to understand the process. And we have some seasoned and experienced investigators that just need a refresher. So I'm not the expert on this. I'm just going through it. We've got Project Endeavor getting ready to launch, so we're trying to do some steps up to that to get you guys ready. Project Endeavor should launch hopefully at the end of the month. We're still getting some stuff done on the website. And then the educational tab of the NPS website will go live, and a lot of this information that you guys have seen here is going to be there. In the meantime, you can find it on the DNS page underneath the Ghost Hunting 101 tab, and a lot of what we're going to go over tonight is on that tab as well. I might also add, and we'll put a link up here on the DNS page after the show, there's a glossary of terms on the DNS page that you guys might want to look at and be familiar with. When you go to the DNS page, it's www.dsparanormalcrew.com. Go to the Ghost Hunting 101 tab, and on the drop down, you'll see glossary of terms. Make sure you're familiar with a lot of that. It will review a lot of what we've talked about here and a lot about what we've talked about on NPS and what you see us talk about on NPS. So it's just, some really good resources for you, some stuff to print out and put in your book. So let's take a look at things here. The very first show that we had, we went over training, making sure that you're trained, your team's trained, everybody's on the same page. We went through the paperwork that's required for an investigation, not only to protect your team, but to protect your client. And we talked about the client intake, the very first call that you take when you have somebody that's needing some help. So you can review that show for all of that information. Step 2, we looked at the location research. So once you've talked to your client, you want to look at their property, look at the location. After that, we talked about the gathering of the experts. And when I said gathering of the experts, I didn't mean people that have certifications or degrees, because it doesn't exist in this field. I talked about the people that are on your team, or the people that you bring in that are knowledgeable about photography, cameras, DVR setup, equipment, that type of thing. Those are your experts. And then you want to formulate your game plan. You've talked to your client. What's your next step? So we talked about the game plan. Step 3 is where we actually talked about meeting with the client. First time you're going to go out and meet with your client face-to-face. We talked about who goes on the interview. We talked about some more of the forms in the client questionnaire. We actually went through it. Those papers, those forms, they're going to be on the education portion of the NPS website when Endeavor launches. So stay tuned to NPS, because when we launch it, you'll see that it's there with the links. And then we talked about the mini investigation. So you go, you meet with your client. You might do a mini investigation that night to determine who you're going to bring back on your first full-fledged investigation. That was step 3. That was the third show. Step 4, we talked about the actual investigation, and we also talked about any follow-ups that were necessary and about reminders for the investigations, clothes that we should be wearing, making sure that we've brought extra batteries, that type of thing. Okay, so your checklist. Step 5, the 5th show, we talked all about my favorite thing, which is debunking photographs. So we looked at a lot of information on the ASSAP website, a lot of things that they have tested and experimented with and that they have out there for you to look at. We also talked about going to the photography department tab of the NPS website and looking at the links and the information there. So we learned a lot in that show. If you want to learn what we're talking about on NPS when we're debunking photographs, take a look at that show, okay? And then we talked a little bit last week, actually, for the show. We talked about reviewing audio and visual evidence. We had Jason Black on, who showed us a little bit about Cool Edit Pro that he uses. We talked a little bit about Audacity. We looked at some things on the screen, so we visually were a little comfortable with that software. And we talked about EVPs, how long they should be, what EVPs are, that type of thing. So That brings us up to finishing it up. What do? We do the client reveal. We're going to actually take everything that we have found. We're going to put it together in a sweet little package, put a bow on it, and give it to our client. So we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm reading from notes. I apologize. It's been a crazy week for me. Otherwise, you guys would have been reading it with the slides, but you get to look at me instead. So anyway, the client reveal is where we get all of our findings organized. So you may have had 4 or 5 people that were with you for the investigation, for a follow-up investigation, that had recorders going, may have taken pictures, you may have had a DVR running. Everybody will go through their own pictures, their evidence, all of that. When they think that they have found something, they will bring that forward to the founder of the team. Now, some teams actually have a process to do this where everybody on the team reviews their stuff within a certain amount of time, gets it to the founder reviews it, puts together the final package, presents it to the client. Our team works a little bit differently because we actually work with other teams. So we all work together, getting our stuff together. We pull together, we all review it, and then we present it to the client. So we work a little differently. You do what you want to do for your team, and if you're just a solo investigator, you've got it all to look at, and you'll know what to do with it. So we like to do within 2 weeks. We like to follow up with our clients within 2 weeks. So we will process everything within a week, week and a half. We will schedule to get with a client probably on a Saturday or a Sunday. Friday night, we'll get together, review everything, get it packaged ready to go, and figure out who's going to go. So you're going to look at, I don't know, you might put it together in a Microsoft movie file, and you might have a JPEG image of the photos that you want to show, and you may have some, I don't know, MP4 files or whatever the audio files are going to be in the video files, and you may have all of this put into Microsoft Movie Maker. The other thing that you'll want to do is have those individual files on a CD. We'll get to that a little bit more here in a minute. But you'll have all of that together, combined with what everybody found. You're going to compile it together, and then you're going to call your client. You've already, when you left your final investigation, told them you're going to contact them in 2 weeks to reschedule. You're going to contact your client, you're going to set up that 2-week follow-up, and then that's when you're going to start kind of pulling everything together for that final little package. We always provide our clients with a hard copy format. If we have found EVPs, you know, what it sounded like, what we thought it sounded like, what we thought it was, that type of thing in hard copy, and then we also present an electronic copy that they can hear. I suggest you do that because it's just a prettier package and the client takes you more seriously, takes you more professionally. So you're handing them the CD, you've got a copy of it, you put it in a file, something happens, the client calls you back. It's really easy just to pull out that one CD, then have to go back and dig through your files and all your notes to find out, hey, what did we do for that client? Some people have good memories of their clients, and some people handle so much that you really can't remember. So make yourself a copy of that CD. The reveal for most teams, and I'm talking about some of the larger teams, usually the reveal is handled by the founder or the founders, a lead investigator, and a tech person. That way, the lead investigator can approach it from an investigation standpoint, and the tech person can approach it from the technicality type of stuff. So it kind of covers you all the way around. Now, when you're sitting down with your client, you know, you sit down, you walk in, you know, ask them if anything else has happened since you've been there, kind of take some notes, because, I mean, you're still working with your client. I don't care if you've debunked everything that you found at their house. You're still working with this client, so you want to make sure nothing else has happened in the meantime, because you may not have gotten anything the 1 or 2 times you went out, and there may have been more that happened that you want to follow up on. We all know that we can go to the same location, and we can go 6 or 7 times, and maybe only have something happen once. So, you know, spirits don't act on demand. We're not paying them for a performance, so we have to be diligent in that. When you sit down with your client, you're going to want to walk through everything from the very beginning. Review with them the details that they initially provided to you when you started the case. Remember when you took that phone call? Remember when you sat down with them? Go over what your understanding was that they were experiencing. Take a look at the historical information you found on their property from your research. You got that from that phone call too, and that's when you did your online research. All of that is in the previous shows, and it's also on the NPS website where Shannon did the whole week of discussion on how to look for the research. That is underneath the resources tab of the NPS website, okay? If you didn't find anything on their property, that's okay. You may not have. It may be a new property. It may be a new house. It may be there just really wasn't anything there. It happens. Not every haunting is tied to the property or to the house, okay? It's okay. Tell them. The point here is being thorough in everything. You listened to them. You did some research. You looked at the house. You have to have a starting point, okay? So it's okay to tell them you didn't find anything. Now, if you did find something that tied back, let's say that you had an EVP and said Peter, and you were able to tie it back to somebody that lived in the house or died on the property or something named Peter, then you're kind of looking, hey, here's what we did. Here's how we found it. We want to know who Peter was. You're tying it all together. Now, that's awesome. So you can tell them we found, a Peter that owned this house or whatnot. It tied into our EVP. Don't go into the EVP yet. You want to do a process here. So now we've sat down, we've reviewed what we understood they were experiencing. We have talked about any historical information that we have gathered. Now we're going to go and break out the CD. You guys, everybody pretty much has a laptop or an iPad or a tablet to display stuff, or usually your client has a computer you can sit down around. You're going to hand them the CD. Me being a marketing guru, you'd have your team logo on it and all that kind of fun stuff. It'd be really pretty. But you're going to hand them the CD. You're going to put it in the computer, and you're going to walk them through the process. So now you're going to say, the first night we came out and did a mini investigation, this is what we found. Show your photos, play your EVP. If you did video, show your video. If that's where you found something, okay? If it's an EVP, make sure that you've got it at a volume where it can be heard. A lot of times when we're hearing the files, it's real low. You want to make sure your client can hear that. So make sure when you're working with Microsoft Movie Maker that your audio levels are set right. Identify which room you're in. So this is when we came out for the first investigation, and this is when we were in the bedroom upstairs or the living room. Let them know exactly where it was. Be detailed. Show them the pictures. Explain to them, you know what, that really was a dust particle. That really was, pet hair. That really was, headlights that flashed in the window. Explain to them how you were able to debunk that picture. It's not a valid picture in our eyes because it's not evidence, but it's a valuable picture to them because it's showing them that you did your work and it's showing them how you debunked it. If they have questions about it, you can address it and explain to them how that happened. A lot of times people just get freaked out by the littlest things. And so for them to have an explanation and to see that you looked into it, that's really all they need to calm themselves down. Let them understand how you came to that conclusion. You might even say, hey, you know what? Let me show you some other examples. And you might pull up the NPS website, go to the photography tab, and say, see this chart of orbs, or see this, or see how this lens flare looks. You can show them, because what you're doing is you're giving them the tools that when they get freaked out by something they see, they can go online and they can research it for themselves. Okay? You're empowering them a little bit to take control over what's going on. Show them your video clips. Let them see where you were able to debunk stuff. You guys saw some of the footage last week that Jason showed you of our theater investigation upstairs in the balcony where they had been doing some construction. It was a building built in the 1800s. You saw orbs. Well, it was dust, and we were able to show you that. Show your client that. Let them see that. Put their fears at ease, okay? Let them see those video clips. Ask them, where you had questions, or ask them if they've got questions about it. Make it a true discussion about approaching how you were able to come to the conclusion that you did about those anomalies. Now, if you did catch something, then this is where you want to explain to them, hey, we had an apparition or a shadow figure, or we had something we couldn't explain. That's when you're going to go into the next step afterwards, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Review the EVPs with them. Now, here's a big thing for EVPs. You're putting it in Microsoft Movie Maker. You're making one big file out of this because you're pretty much going to play it like a PowerPoint presentation for you guys that aren't familiar with it. Put your EVP in there 3 times. Pull it up into Movie Maker. Play it. Let them hear it. Then you're going to pull it up again. And on the second slide, you can go into Movie Maker and actually add text and add what you think you hear or what the team agreed on that they heard. Add that on the second clip. Third clip, play it again. Let your client hear it, see what you made it out to be, and play it again. So you want to have it on there 3 times. Remember, everything we do is in threes. We take pictures in succession of threes. We're going to play our EVPs back for our clients in threes, okay? Ask them the first time what they hear. Yeah, that's kind of what we heard too, or, no, this is what we heard. Kind of talk about it, show it to them with the text, and then listen to it again. I'm reading through my notes here, so I pretty much covered everything there. So we're going to do, on the CD, we're going to do the pictures, then we're going to look at video, then we're going to look at EVP. The only reason why I do it that way is 99.9% of the time, those pictures are going to be debunked, okay? 99.9% of the time, the same thing's going to happen with video. So those are the two that you can easily debunk pretty quickly and have some references on the web to back that up. Your EVPs, on the other hand, to me, that's where you're going to start getting something that's a little bit more valid to talk to your client about. So you want to spend a little more time on those. Now, once you've gone through all of that evidence and you've looked at the pictures, you've talked about the video, you've talked about the EVPs, ask the clients if they have any questions about what you've covered so far. You've covered a lot of information with them. You've shown them a lot. Do they have any questions over what you've gone over? Answer their questions honestly and directly. I mean, if you don't know, tell them you don't know. If you plan on coming back and following up with them, you might tell them, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but let me research it and I'll get back to you when we come back. If you're not coming back, tell them you're going to get back to them and then email it to them or call them with it. But make sure you put your client's fears at ease. Guys, it's not just about the client, it's about you and how you look, because that client could refer you out to another family member that is too scared to reach out for help. It's all about being professional and doing the right thing. We care about other people. We want to make sure that they understand and their fears are put at ease. Answer them honestly and directly. If you can go online and show them, hey, this is why, this is how this works. You can go into a YouTube video and show them things, that type of thing. Sit down and take the time and do that with them, okay? Show them what dust looks like in a picture and how it looks in the video. You showed them in their house. They may not get that, so you may have to go on the web and show them some other things. There's lots of teams out there on YouTube that have examples of that kind of thing, so it's pretty easy to find out there. Make sure that your client is just fully engaged and feels like they're 100% part of this with you. It's their home. They're the ones that are experiencing it, so make sure they understand it and they get it. Trust, in this case, is everything. And it's going to be everything for your team. It's what's going to make or break you. It's what's going to make you a reputable, good, strong, professional team. Like I said, we don't have credentials and we don't have degrees in this field. The way that we get that is by respect and making sure that our clients know that we have done everything that we can for them and we've treated them like we should. It's a business, guys. I mean, we enjoy this as a hobby, but this is a business, so we need to treat it that way. Once you've gone through and you've reviewed all that and you've answered all the questions, you're going to let your client know what's your recommendation, what's the next step. So at this point, it could be, you know what, we were able to debunk everything. We've shown you that, that fan that's over there on that bookshelf is what was causing that noise or knocking this over. So you might want to move the fan or, just get used to it's going to make that noise. Maybe you need to do a follow-up investigation. Maybe there were some questions brought about during the review that, another investigation or two might help resolve. Or, maybe it's been pretty bad. I hate to say that. And you need to come out and cleanse and bless their home, okay? You've got some recommendations there, so talk them over with your client. Now.
Sherry?
Yes.
Can I interject something real quick?
Absolutely.
Just from Kim and I's experience with our group, we actually ran across a house that had extremely high EMF, enough to the point to where it was affecting a small child. Please be sure if you find anomalous readings like that, especially if they're EMF related, do a little extra homework and make sure you have an environmental services company or an electrician that can come in and help, or at least have a suggestion. That way people will make some kind of action on it.
Absolutely.
Same thing with mold. Same thing if you find mold and they don't know about it, that kind of thing. They need to know how to get rid of it, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people are clueless about how it even started. And, when we get ready to launch Project Endeavor, you guys, and I don't know, if people have been on NPS for a while, you know what Project Endeavor is. We announced on NPS Focus, we've talked about it a little bit. But for those of you that don't know, Project Endeavor is going to be a online resource database, for lack of better words. It's just a huge database. It's going to compile a lot of information. teams and investigators can go out there and input your information. And we're going to ask for a lot of things, folks, a lot of things. And you may or may not be covering some of this stuff in your investigations. And that's why it's going to be so important to visit the education tab and print out the forms that we are putting together that go hand in hand with Endeavor, because you're going to be asked to do your baseline readings for EMF. You're going to be asked to be checking that throughout your investigation. You're going to be asked about mold, and you're going to be asked about hazards. You're going to be asked about all of that stuff, okay? Humidity, weather, moon phases, all that kind of stuff. So get in the habit now of looking for it, or at least print these forms out and start using them for your investigations, because you may run into something like Eric said. It may be just something that was high EMF that we need to get somebody out to look at. You as a team are responsible for educating your client and giving them resources. So you might start reaching out in your community or around where they are and seeing, like Eric said, is there an electrician that you would recommend to come out? Or do they have an electrician that already services their house? So you guys, a lot of this stuff, it's going to get real heavy. A lot of people are just hobby investigators, and that's great. I'm not knocking that. But we are responsible to the people that are in that house that we're trying to help out to give them every possible answer that we can. So you're going to have a lot. You guys think I showed y'all a lot of documentation during that show. You got a lot more coming. So the other thing to talk to kind of, and Eric, I'm kind of glad that you mentioned that, because that ties into my next piece. Let your client know that they're welcome to have a second opinion from another team. Why wouldn't you want another team to come out? Maybe you guys, we're kind of old school with our stuff, even though we have Paranology's equipment. We don't always break it out because we don't always think that we need to. But maybe you've got another team that they're a little bit better with. I don't know, maybe they've got more of a science background than you do, and they can come in and look at some other things. Offer that to your client. It's their choice if they want to have somebody else come out, okay? Let them do it. It's their home. They have the right to that. But if they decide, hey, we want to move forward with you, we're going to take your recommendations. Again, this is all written down because you're handing this all to your client. If they're going to take your recommendations and move forward, great. Let's talk about getting that set up. If we've debunked everything and there's nothing else to be done, you're not planning on coming back, set on your calendar a time within 3 to 6 months to follow back up with them. It's just good business sense, okay? If nothing's happening within 3 to 6 months, great, close your file. Good rule of thumb. Now, if you need to go back because there was some anomalies that you couldn't explain, or something else has happened in the meantime, set up right then and there, good time to come back and do that investigation. Just stay right on top of it. Have everybody pull out their calendar, see what's good, what's going to work for you to come back out. If you go back out and do additional investigations, you're going to follow the same process that we've gone through, and you're going to go through the same type of client reveal, okay? Now, God forbid you need to do a cleansing and a blessing at your client's house. You need to be prepared to do that the night you go back to do the reveal. Just be prepared. Your client may tell you, let's do it right now, I'm ready. And your client may tell you, you know what, I would rather the rest of the family be here, my husband be here, my wife be here, whatever, to get it done. Just be prepared that night to do it. And it's probably a good idea to do it that night anyway. And if there's been enough that has happened that you need to cleanse and bless the home, I would hope you've already had that conversation with your client before you came out to do the reveal, okay? Just be ready. You're going to be scheduling back, follow-ups, you're going to be scheduling stuff. So even if you come out and you cleanse and bless the home, you still want to follow up with your client. Duh, it's a given. Follow up with your client the next day after you've cleansed and blessed the home. And then you want to do it on a weekly basis until you know everything's okay. The key is follow up. We're not done with that client just because we've wrapped up and we've done the reveal. We're not done. Our job's not done. We owe that client our dedication to finishing it out, okay? Always follow up. I don't know about you guys, but even in your personal lives, when you're making appointments, what's the one thing that you really appreciate? That call to follow up, that reminder, that touch base. Do that with your clients too, okay? So we've gone through all of that. We're going to finish up with our client. We're going to leave them with that CD. We've made a copy for our file. We're going to go back through all of our paperwork, make sure everything's been signed. At this point, if you haven't discussed with the client about allowing you to share this information, some teams like to put it on their website, some people like to put it on their Facebook pages. Some people like to show it to prospective clients to kind of gain their trust or whatnot. If you haven't done that by this time, it's probably a good idea to sit down, go through the paperwork then, okay? Again, when we get the papers off of the educational tab, it's going to walk you through all that, and you're going to have that on one of those documents. You're going to hand them the CD. You're going to hand them another business card. Yeah, you gave them your business card when you first met them, but you know what? If you're like me, you file them away, and you panic when you need to find them, and you can't find them. You put them in a safe place, and you can't find them. Hand them another business card to keep with that CD, okay? Follow up with them every 3 to 6 months until you know everything's taken care of, okay? I don't care if it takes 2 years. Follow up with your clients. If your team disbands and you're not doing anything, you need to find a home for those clients so somebody else can follow up, okay? Stay in touch with them. It's good business etiquette. Now, that's it, guys. That's the whole investigation process. I'm going to spend the rest of the show talking about some other things, but that's it. And it seems like it's a lot, but if you do it and you stay on top of it, it becomes habit. You'll do it just like this. We keep our stuff packed and ready to go at all times. I actually have, and I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but I actually have a filing tub. So I have my book I carry. You guys want to talk about paperwork. I have my book, and all my clients know my infamous pink book. I have that. That's got my paperwork, my notes in it, that type of thing. But then I've also got a little filing bin. It's got our business card on the top of it. But inside my filing bin, I have all my paperwork. Okay? Everything's organized in here. So when I go out to meet with a client, most of the time I have pre-made my client packet, and I make 2 folders. I make one folder for my client. That's all blanks. And all of those forms, they have to sign. And then I have a second folder for me, that's my copy. So there's 2 copies of everything. So I leave one folder with my client that I've already signed, and then I have them sign my copy. Everybody's got something. I put a business card in my file, and for DNS, again, the marketing guru here, we also have a document that talks about the team that I will leave with my clients as well. So I'm prepared. Everything is in that box. I pick it up and go. If my client tells me that first night that I'm meeting with them that, I don't know, I've got permission to take photos and put it on my website, I can pull out that form right then and there and have them sign it. Be ready. Be prepared. Can't tell you enough to be prepared. You have your equipment bag ready. Why wouldn't you have your paperwork stuff ready? So, okay. So make sure you've got all that together. Other than that, that's it, guys. I mean, get yourself organized. You're going to go through your investigations. If you guys have anything else that you want to kind of recommend, I just realized I don't have the chat room open. Sorry, guys. If you have any other suggestions for us, I'm welcome to it. Send me a message. We'll put it out there. I'll definitely be looking at it when we're making the education tab. So if there's something that we didn't cover or something that you think, hey, Sherry, this would be great to see out there. Can you include it? Or, hey, can you address this or can you address that? Let me know. Give me a message and let me know. So I'm in the chat room now. My apologies, guys. It's been one of those crazy, crazy days. Let me know. Let me know if we need to add it. We talked a little bit about the high EMF and the mold with Eric reminding us about that. That stuff's going to be included with the education document, so you'll have that. So now, Shannon, we probably do need to do a show on EMF. I know that's your thing. Remind me about that, Shannon. We'll talk about it. Maybe we can do that on a DNS Live episode. I'm not sure where we would fit it in for focus, but we could do it on a DNS Live episode and share it. So let's talk about some little tricks of the trade for the next 30 minutes or so. Just kind of some things that you guys can kind of keep in the back of your head when you're investigating. These are things that I found that are kind of cool or just little, I don't know, old school type things. When you're investigating, let's say that you have placed a ball in the middle of the floor and you want to measure if it's moved or not. We've talked about maybe making a circle around it or putting it in a certain area so you can see where it is. One thing that you need to keep in mind, and you might measure it, I meant to measure it before the show to tell you exactly, but you can take a $1 bill. Everybody's got a $1 bill on them, right? You can use that for a tape measure. So you can actually lay out, hey, the ball moved a full dollar bill shape or whatever. You can use a dollar bill for your tape measure, or just keep a tape measure in your bag. Okay, so that's something real small. The dollar store sells those little bitty plastic rulers. Right now it's back to school time. Go get you a couple of rulers, okay, so you can measure that out. Rulers, dollar store. Trigger objects. What kind of trigger objects might you want to bring on an investigation? Well, science talked about hearing children. Why not some toys? Why not some balls? Why not some balloons? Bring out some tools. Kind of listen to your client and bring out, thank you, stud. Dollar bill's exactly 6 inches. There you go. Bring out these trigger objects. If you know that the house was built, like the theater we were doing, we know it was built in the 1800s. Well, if we had something with kids back then, we might research the toys and bring out some jacks. We might bring out, dominoes, something like that. So think about that. Trigger objects that can have you interact with a spirit are awesome, okay? So think about that. I carry in our case, a little drawstring bag. Jason's actually seen it because we had it out in the cemetery, but it's a ball that lights up when it moves. And it's one of those curious type things. Paisley likes to play with them, that you bounce them up and down and they light up. So I have some of those. I have a doll. I have a teddy bear. I have dominoes. I have cards. I have all that kind of stuff. So keep it for a trigger object. Shannon says they have an antique set of manacles that they take to old jails. So, if you guys are going to go these places, and you know where else is a great place to look for trigger objects, y'all are going to laugh. I love the pawn shop. Laugh all you want to, but when I'm getting my useful equipment and trigger objects cheap, you can just go suck it, okay? Go to the pawn shop. They had there, and I wish we'd had the money at the time to get it, they had an old camera. One of the old...
Browning.
Huh?
Browning.
No, they were the...
Stare down on the top kind of... Their Browning was a brand name.
I don't know if it was a Browning or not, but it was the one that looked like the accordion. Yeah. And I just was studying about them today. This is so bad. But I thought, oh my God, if we had the money to buy it, I would so get that for a trigger object. You guys, you're going to the pawn shop already to look for your cameras and your video recorders and, your stuff like that. Go look and see what they got for trigger objects. Oh my God, talk about cheap. I can't tell you how much stuff I've seen in there that's cheap. So definitely. Jason's talking about he's gotten a response with a flask of whiskey. You guys, I love my vodka, and I will travel with an empty vodka bottle, because you never know. Put some water in it. The spirit doesn't know, right? They're not going to drink it. But anyway, know where you're going, and have a trigger object. Don't just sit there in the dark like a bump on a log. Bring something with you, okay? Something else, and people laugh when I talk about this. I did a presentation talking about old school techniques, and I talked about this technique, and you guys can laugh all you want to, but you're going to try it, and it might just work for you, and then you're going to come back and tell me I wasn't crazy. But you can take a black trash bag, cut it up, leave it like it is, go get a carpenter's throw. It has to be dark, okay? Get a carpenter's throw and put that down, and you can use baby powder or flour on that. If your client's hearing footsteps, put that down and see if you get some footsteps. The other thing, and you guys are going to laugh, we talk about bringing snacks, right? Because we don't want the ugly, grumbly demon coming up on the EVP. But go to the dollar store and get you some of them cheap, nasty potato chips, you know what I'm talking about, and put them out. And guess what? When you hear something that's going to crunch, it's got an audio alarm, right? Old school. You guys don't have to spend a lot of money on stuff, okay? We love our cool gadgets, but what's wrong with old school stuff? Just make sure you put it on a cloth, a drop cloth, a trash bag. We like to use trash bags because we just roll it up and throw it in the trash. But come on, guys. We got household stuff we can use. Flashlights. Everybody should have one. And there's been some kind of debate back and forth as to whether or not the flashlight trick works. I don't know if it does or not. I've gotten responses with it. I don't know if it really is something valuable or not. So that's something else to kind of toy with. That's an experiment to think about. It can be turned on by vibrations of an air conditioning unit. It can be turned on by a thumb. Kind of play with it and see. It's something different to use, right? Let's see. I'm looking at what you guys are doing. The two best responses of questions that have been asked have to do with food and sex. You know what? Food and sex have been around for a long time. We talked talked about, I'm going to get off track for a minute here. We talked about Pompeii this week, one of the ancient mysteries. I did that on Monday. And one of the things that I kind of mentioned it today on the thread that I didn't include was, sex is rampant. Men have always visited brothels. Women have always offered it. It's just everyday part of life, right? Well, in Pompeii, they actually had stones that had arrows on them shaped like male genitalia that would point to the brothel, okay? So think about that. If I was to go on an investigation of Pompeii, I might want to bring something like that out, okay? When you're doing your research of a location, think about those kind of things. If they're Indian, if that's smoke, they're talking about Native American type of sacrifices. I mean, be thinking about where you are and what your location had. What kind of richness does it hold for you to bring these trigger objects, okay? What else do I have? So let's talk about, and some people, we talked about this on NPS, I think it was either this week or last week. Somebody made a comment about dowsing rods. Do you use dowsing rods? Some people believe in them, some people don't. Now, my team, if you guys know, Zach's the dowsing rod expert. We haven't had any issues with it, even being around water. We haven't had any issues with them giving a false reading. We've always had them right on. Now, the other thing that we do in conjunction with that, and you guys know my love for pendulums, is I will bring my pendulum out. And sometimes, I can't work rods, they don't like me. Deegan's getting a little bit better with them, they just don't like me. I bring out a pendulum. So we'll have Zach on the dowsing rods, and I'll be on the pendulum. And we'll ask the same questions and see what kind of responses we get. So that's something else to think about. Now, if you don't want to spend the money on a pendulum and you want to make your own, if you wear a necklace, you can use your necklace for a pendulum. You can tie a penny onto something. You can use a set of car keys. I mean, anything that will dangle, you can make a pendulum out of. Now, it's nice to be able to have, and it's my preference, a crystal or a stone for your pendulum. You don't have to have it. Think what you've got on you. Untie your shoelaces and run your shoelace through your car key. I don't know. Be creative and use something. You guys, what other kind of trigger objects can you think about? Those were the ones that I kind of listed this afternoon when I was getting ready for the show. Are there any others that you guys in the chat room can, think of that you might want to use? Jewelry's a good one. You guys, little girls, I'm going to probably die when Paisley gets older because she's going to be in all my jewelry. Little girls love jewelry. If your client's talking about hearing a little girl, why not bring some jewelry? You can get toy jewelry at the dollar store. I'm telling you, the dollar store and the pawn shop. Y'all are probably laughing at me thinking I'm crazy, but they are the best places to find stuff. We have a Dollar Tree here. I don't know if everybody has a Dollar Tree, but literally everything is $1, and they carry everything. So if I hear that my client's experiencing a certain amount of stuff, I may go over to the Dollar Tree and be like, you know what, they said they hear kids, so I might want to get some jacks because their house was built in the fill in the blank here. Or I might want to go, they said it was a woman, so maybe I want to bring out a perfume bottle. Maybe I want to bring something else out. Oh, it was a man. They said they heard tools. I might want to bring out some tools. You guys, you can get a set of cheap tools at the Dollar Tree to keep in your trigger object bag. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be something that you go to Home Depot and spend a ton of money on. Go to the pawn shop. Go to the dollar store. I should get paid for this. I need to find a sponsor, Eric, from the dollar store and from a pawn shop.
Hey, Sherry, can I throw something out there real quick?
Absolutely.
It has to do with the reveal. Something else that your group needs to decide upon at the reveal. You need to have a single spokesman. Nothing makes a group look more disorganized than if you have the person that's supposed to be the leader trying to reveal evidence, and then you've got Chatty Cathy or back talking Bob behind them saying, well, no, this is what I heard with that one, and disagreeing with that stuff. People need to make sure that they've got that part of their group sorted, because along those same lines, and you know my feelings on this, Sherry, I do have and believe in the spiritual side of what we do, but you don't need you should never reveal any spiritual evidence or spiritual feelings at a reveal. It should be all technical at a reveal.
It's all neutral. And that brings up a good point, because you guys, when you're going through, if you're on a bigger team, you've probably already got this set out. For us, we work with other teams, so it's just kind of I'm the talker. Hello, why do you think I do the show and Deacon doesn't? So I kind of take the lead on a bunch of stuff. But you guys, when you're sitting down Friday night, it's because you got your reveal Saturday, Sunday night, make sure that you kind of respect your team founder. Your founder should be the one that's presenting this evidence. They're the people that are going to take the heat for stuff. That's kind of what they're there for. Let them take the lead. If they defer to you for something, then speak up. But kind of back your founder. I mean, it's just part of being a strong team. You guys should have that figured out. You guys should be running through it Friday night before you go to your reveal. Know the process you're going to do. Look at everything. Be in agreement. Okay? If you're not in agreement on your reveal, and if you're not in agreement on your evidence, you don't need to do that reveal, and you may not even need to be on that team together. Okay? Just saying. We've dealt with a lot of team drama. We've dealt with it. That's why we keep such a small team, and we bring in who we want to work with and have them come with us. So you guys work that out amongst yourselves, but make sure it should be your founder. If your founder can't make the reveal, which I don't know why that wouldn't be, they may designate, I don't know, the lead investigator or somebody like that to take care of it. Maybe even the, what's the other? The research person or something like that. But, you guys should have that worked out in your team. So that's a good point to bring up, Eric. Make sure you keep everything as neutral as possible and be as supportive as possible.
Yeah, because you don't want to scare people, because if you come in there talking, and I'm going to say this, and it's not going to sound right, but I don't really care. If you come in there talking a bunch of spiritual mumbo jumbo, or you go beyond the vocabulary that the people can understand, you're going to scare them even more, and that's not why you're there.
Well, and hopefully you've been smart enough, and we've kind of paid attention to the client questionnaire, that you have found out what their spiritual beliefs are.
True.
Because I'm telling you right now, if you're a Christian and you're going into somebody's home that's not Christian, and you need to do a cleansing and a blessing, it's not going to hold, because the people that live in the house don't hold those beliefs. So make sure you know the belief system of your clients, so that if you have to do that type of thing, or you have to refer back to something, you can do it in something that respects their belief and their religion, and you're doing them kind of a good justice at that, okay? Don't impose your beliefs on something. Right. Now, if your client says they don't care what you use, you still might want to review your methods with them, okay? Don't piss people off by just assuming you're going to go thump a Bible. I mean, we've seen it on the NPS page. You guys, don't do that. I mean, it's just, it's not a good idea. You're there to help people with what they're experiencing, not preach to them. Okay? Preach to them about dust and not being true orbs, but don't preach to them about religion. Let's see. Shani is talking about, I collect antique medical equipment, so we take Civil War medical stuff places related to the War of Northern Aggression. Hey, that's an awesome idea. If you guys are hunting around on war sites and war fields in areas like that, why wouldn't you take something like that? We had the best investigation ever at Fort Richardson when my boys dressed up as soldiers, and they had their little airsoft guns, and they went out there, and we were in the barracks, and we had most of the team inside pretend like they were sleeping soldiers, and we were filming it, and we had the boys rush in and rush back out, and man, the energy in that building picked up. So, we talk about reenactments. It's the same thing with your trigger objects. So, I mean, it's just be creative. You want to try to get some evidence. You want to try to be relatable. Be creative with that kind of stuff. Now, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be done with this whole presentation type stuff. I told you guys I was changing the format of DNS Live, so we're no longer going to be doing guest appearances. We might do some every now and then, if it's a subject that we really want to cover, or if it ties into something that we may have experienced at, at a different location or an investigation, or like I was getting with Shannon about EMF stuff. So we might do that type of thing. But for the most part, I'm not going to be doing guest interviews anymore. I think we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. We're going to kind of turn some things around. So you're going to see us investigating. I don't want you guys critiquing me or doing any of that kind of business, okay? So you're going to see how we kind of apply these techniques that we just went through. And it's more going to be a learning type of tool for everybody. I mean, not just for us, but for you guys too. I mean, you may come in and say, you know what? I want to see you try fill in the blank experiment, and we're going to go out and try it. I mean, we're going to be kind of that crazy. Jason the Parasud's already told me that he's up for experiments, so he and Deegan are probably making sure Deegan didn't hear me. They're going to be my dummies for this kind of stuff. And Jason, I think we've got a pretty good practice target with Deegan. Deegan's going to kill me. But, at least we can start doing some experiments and trying some stuff. Yeah, oh, great. We've already done it. We went to the man-made beach out in Granbury and started trying to do some mists and some moisture orbs and that type of thing. So you're going to see us do that kind of fun stuff. You're going to see us, doing the investigation, but you're going to see us going out and meeting up in the middle of the day and saying, hey, you know what? Let's go see if we can create a mist. Or, hey, let's go see if we can do this. We're going to try to help you guys find ways to debunk stuff. And I think it's going to be fun. I mean, being a paranormal investigator, we need to be able to debunk things. We need to be able to go back and say to our clients, we know that that's this because we did this. And we can go back and show them. So it's all about having something to relate back to. We are hoping, like I mentioned, the end of this month, I don't know if it's going to be next week or if it's going to be the first week of August. But we're hoping to have the Endeavor project launch. And so you guys, I can't stress to you anymore. Take a part of that, be a part of that, enter your information. It doesn't have to be a current investigation. It can be one you did from a year ago. But make sure that you have all of the information to fill out. We're going to start collecting this data and start looking at things. We're going to try to look at it from a researcher standpoint, which we all should be. Are the moon phases, affecting anything? Is it anything to do with the ley lines? Is it, anything to do with certain temperature, certain type of weather? We're going to take a look at all of that kind of stuff. And we're hoping maybe within the first year, we might have some stuff to start processing some reports, but we can't do any of that if we don't have input from everybody. So make sure that you're out there, you're collecting the right information and putting it in. Endeavor is going to be a huge thing. It's been a lot of work for all of your NPS reps. So, when you guys see us on the page and we're kind of visiting with you guys, you need to remember there's 30 of us total right now. We're adding a few more, but we are working on building that NPS website, and we're working on building Endeavor and making it something that's going to be awesome. So when we're on the page visiting with you and we're asking for ideas, like right now we're doing the members challenge. I hope you guys are entering into that. Where you're educating us. It's been really cool this week. When you're interacting with us, remember that we're kind of looking at what you're posting and what you're sharing and what you're asking, and we're taking that and going to the NPS website and looking at where can we offer that? Why don't we have that up yet? And we're putting it there. Just like, there's been a lot of conversation, and you guys in the chat room know, there's been a lot of conversations about Ouija boards the last couple of days. We have a new rep that's actually going to start writing something about that. He's been doing some research, and I'm going to work with him on getting that up and going, and you'll see that going up on the website. We've been talking a lot about, pictures and stuff, and so we're going to have some more. There's a lot there. I know, I'm sick of them too. There's a lot of information already out there, but we're going to add to it. I was working today on a special photography project that Candy assigned to the photo team of different cameras. So now we're going to go back. Everybody thinks that they can catch an orb, and we've seen the little Sony CyberShot picture of where Sony's actually addressed these white orbs, these white circles, I think they call them. So we know it's something to do with digital photography. So let's go back and let's look at the very first camera. And you guys are going to be surprised at some of the stuff that I found and how they used to take photographs. And some of the things that we did, back in the 80s, we were using film. We weren't doing digital yet. So on film, it was completely different. But you're going to start to see and understand how a camera works. So when we're talking about the lens flare and the refraction that's inside, that happens inside the camera, you're going to start to understand how that camera works so that you, as an investigator or as a hobby investigator, can take better pictures. We're going to kind of teach you photography without being photography experts, if that makes any sense. But we do have a lot coming up. NPS Focus, tonight is going to be a rerun, but we're going to start getting NPS Focus up and going. That's going to match the discussion weeks. We've talked about that a little bit too. We're wrapping up Ancient Mysteries, Shannon's department this month. I need to look and see what our next subject is. I don't know if anybody has it in the chat room, but we're going to take a department a month, and talk about it. And so the first week on Focus, you're going to talk to the department chair. So if you guys kind of want to know ahead of time who's going to be on what, send me a PM or, find me on the NPS page and I'll tell you, because if you have specific questions to a specific department, we can address them that way. And the department head for that department can address it as well. So between DNS Live, which has kind of become an NPS support show, I don't know, I'm kind of a big supporter of NPS, go figure, and NPS Focus, we're going to start trying to tie in a little bit more to the community and tie in more to supporting theories and thoughts and that type of thing. DNS Live will probably stay more of a ghost and hauntings type of show. That's what I do. I don't know if anybody's going to get me out Bigfoot hunting from the cryptid department, but for the most part, we'll stay ghost and hauntings. NPS Focus is going to cover everything underneath the paranormal umbrella. Okay, so that's really going to be the difference between the two. If you want something that's going to be a little more detailed and explained, we're going to do that on DNS Live when it comes to ghost and hauntings. Now, if it's going to be anything else, we're going to do that over on NPS Focus. Shannon, who is my alternate assistant director, she was just named here in the last couple of weeks, so you guys make sure you bug her on the page, is saying that her Timeless Tuesday archives have great articles about fake and ghost photos on plates during the Victorian times. So you guys, there's a lot of information out there if you look for it. Shannon's really good about Tuesdays posting her article, and you can find them also on her page, and I'll let her give you that link and that type of thing. Okay, cryptozoology is next. Ooh, that's going to be fun. I'm interested in cryptids, but I don't think I want to be active in that. So we'll be doing that a lot on NPS Focus. So if you guys want to talk about cryptids, next month's going to be the month to do that, the month of August. We got a few minutes left here. Anybody in the chat room, have I forgotten anything?
Well, hey, just real quick, everybody can tune in tomorrow night on Pima TV at 9 p.m. Eastern. They can come in and watch. Speaking of cryptids, we're going to be talking with Mr. Jody Cook.
Nice.
Who is I don't want to say the master cryptid hunter, but he's been doing it for a long, long time. He's author of about 6 books.
You know, he needs to get with our cryptid department. We've been trying to build up that cryptid area a little bit, and Ted's doing a great job. He's got a little team for him to help him with that, but I really would like to see cryptids grow a little bit more. It's nice to get on NPS and talk about ghosts and hauntings because that's kind of my thing. But I also like talking about aliens and UFOs and cryptids and everything else that's out there. So, I mean, the more information that we can get on these areas, the better. So let's definitely get that added on there. All right, so we've got that show tomorrow night. You guys in the chat room, am I forgetting anything? NPS, the only thing that I really want to bring up, guys, today's Thursday. You have Friday and Saturday to get your member challenge submissions in. I'm going to post today's winner in the morning, and then on Sunday you'll see the winner for Saturday, and probably, I don't know, let's say Wednesday of next week, we will have the final winner, because the reps are going to take a look at each one of the submissions this week, each one of the winners, and we're going to pick who's going to be on NPS Focus to tell us a little bit more about their educational post. And I don't know if that will be next week's show on Focus or if it'll be the week after. We'll have to work that out with whoever the winner is around their schedule. So get your member submissions in. Now, here's the trick to that. It can't be a photo. Can't be a video. I don't want to see that. I want to see that you put some effort into it and you've educated me on it. So I want it to be in text. You can push me out to a link like I did this week with Pompeii and Bermuda Triangle and Amelia Earhart. You can push me to a link at the History Channel to learn a little bit more. But I don't want it just to be that you're pushing me to a link. I want you to teach me something, and I want you to teach the other reps something. So make sure it's good and solid. You can have 1 entry per day, and then we are counting votes by the number of likes per entry. So get your friends to come out there and vote for your post if you want to be on NPS Focus and be the winner. So that's really it we've got going on for NPS right now. Yes, and it doesn't have to be about ghosts. I am still waiting for somebody to post about, I don't know, an alien or UFO, an ancient mystery, a cryptid, demonology, the occult. Guys, there's so much out there. teach us, kind of, help us get stuff going. What if it's ghost Bigfoots from outer space? Would that fall underneath cryptids or aliens? Something to think about. Let's go ahead and say thanks to our sponsors, you guys. Next week, it's going to be crazy on DNS. Oh, thank you, David. First time you've watched. See, a lot of people haven't heard about DNS Live. You guys are going to have a lot of fun. We are going to start off next week. You guys can laugh at me. You guys can do whatever you want when we're investigating. I'm a big girl. I can take it. But, just don't come out here and start trying to jack with my investigations, okay? So, let's say thanks to our sponsors, and I'm going to sign off. You guys can watch a repeat of NPS Focus, and, we'll see you over on NPS. So, a huge thank you to Paranologies. Jeremy over there. God, I've got to get a new TriCam, guys. I've got to get one if we're going to be doing these investigations and filming. We want to say a huge thank you to Scott Frederick. You guys might have seen me share some of his pictures on my personal page this week. I'm trying to get him back to doing some more Urbex stuff for us. I don't know if he will or not. He's kind of pulling up some old pictures and kind of doing some fun stuff with them, so maybe we'll get some new pictures. You guys will see more of that as we start launching Endeavor. The marketing graphics will be Scott's pictures. So thank you so much, Scott, for being so supportive. I actually found Scott just doing a search on the internet, and we got to be really good friends, so I've really appreciated that. We want to give a huge shout-out to Blessed Bee, your one-stop occult shop online. You guys go over there and check everything out. We were talking about pendulums. If you want a pendulum with a crystal, that's the best place to go. And I want to say a huge, huge thank you to probably our newest sponsor of the four, Front Range Ghost Shop. If you guys need any kind of equipment or something like that, go check out Arthur and the gang over there at the Front Range Ghost Shop. Next week, again, we're going to be doing some fun live stuff. Jason, we got a lot of work to do this weekend. You guys are going to see what we're doing this weekend. Matter of fact, let me mention that again for you guys that are local. We are joining up with TexPart investigators up in McKinney, Texas for a dinner and ghost walk on Saturday nights starting at 6:30, Jason? So 6:30? We're going to be meeting up at the pantry. There are still, I think, a handful of openings open for that. It's $20 a person for the investigation and the ghost walk. Now, we're going to be meeting up for dinner beforehand. You'll pay for your dinner separately. But we're going to sit and eat, and then we're going to learn a little bit about McKinney on the ghost walk, and we're going to do an investigation. So if you guys want to come out and hang out with me and Deegan from the DNS crew, and if you guys want to come hang out with Jason and his team from TexPart and kind of hang out with some NPS reps, get your butts out there. They're going to start it Saturday night, and then there'll be another one the following weekend, right, Jason? I think it's on the 2nd. Am I correct? So if you miss us this weekend, you can hook up with TexPart next weekend for that. If you will look at TexPart's Facebook page, you'll be able to find the link to the meetup group there, or you can find them on Meetup to be able to RSVP for that. If you can't find either one of those, find Jason Black on the NPS page and send him a PM about it, and he can get you the information. So I'll see you guys next week. Y'all have a great weekend. We're going to have fun kind of getting some stuff together for you. See you guys later.